success. But then we should tell Nigerians what they want.
The news with no exemptions.
Your major productive assets, which are the youth. Today, you talk here about unemployment rate 33%. With the youth constituting 60% of them, that's why you have a problem.
Including nothing but the truth.
There's nothing to clear. The issue is that the people that charge you to court are wrong. Then anybody can prosecute you. But the power of prosecution is different from the power of justice. So let's leave that to justice. This matter is important.
This is the voice of the people. 90.3 Real News Patrol.
The Voice.
The agent. The catalyst.
Broadcasting live from the studios of the Voice of the People.
Somebody will solve this problem now.
Hello there and welcome to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku and these are the top stories. PDP petitions Chief Judge over Tribunal judgment. Tribunal sacks Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa, declares PDP winner. ISWAP guns down Boko Haram commander in Sambisa Forest. Labour leaders arrive presidential villa for another meeting with Tinubu's government. And Dezani Alice Madueke appears in UK court over bribery charges. Details now. The World News begins with the Plateau State chapter of the People's Democratic Party petitioning the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the Chairman of the National Judicial Council, Justice Kaide Aruwola, over the judgment delivered by the Justice Mohammed Tukur-led National Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Jos. The OP News gathered that the party accused the 3 justices of the panel of deliberate perversion of justice and conspiracy to remove its elected candidates from the legislative houses. The PDP, in a statement signed by its state chairman, Mr. Chris Hassan, and Secretary John Allen, alleged bias on the part of the Tukuru-led tribunal. The PDP expressed dismay that while the second tribunal had dismissed the plea of the petitioners, Justice Tukuru and his brother judges had found merit in the petitions. The PDP urged the CJN to investigate the allegation against the Tukuru-led tribunal and take appropriate disciplinary action against the erring judges. The party also called on the CJN to reconstitute the tribunal with new judges who are impartial and have the integrity to dispense justice without fear or favor. Elsewhere, the Nasarawa State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal today nullified the victory of Governor Abdullahi Sule. The 3-man panel, led by Justice Ezekiel Ajayi, while delivering the judgment via Zoom, said Emmanuel Umbudagu of the People's Democratic Party is the winner. 2 of the justices agreed with the election was won by the PDP, while 1 judge dissented. Ezekiel maintained that the petitioner was able to prove his case beyond reasonable doubt. Reports earlier indicated that ex-governors Abdullahi Adamu and Tanko Almakura were among other political dignitaries present at court. Recall also that the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal in Lafia declared Abdullahi Sule, as well as INEC declaring Abdullahi Sule the winner of the governorship elections in Nasarawa State in March. Professor Ishaya Tanko, the INEC returning officer, said that the APC candidate polled a total of 347,209 votes to defeat his closest opponent, David Umbugadu, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, who got 283,016 votes. Elsewhere, members of the Islamic State West African Province ISWAP have reportedly killed a Boko Haram commander in charge of Sambisa and Woza enclaves, Ali Ghana Al-Haji Ali on Woza Hill in Woza local government area of Borno State. According to reports, Ali, one of the deadliest terrorist leaders in the northeast, was killed on Sunday when the ISWAP fighters ambushed him. A security source disclosed to Daily Trust that Ali had killed several victims in Sambisa and other forests of Borno State before his death on Sunday. You do recall that Abubakar Shekau, a dreaded leader of the Boko Haram sect, also died during a deadly confrontation with ISWAP fighters in May 2021. Elsewhere, organized labor leaders have arrived at the State House in Abuja for the second leg of meetings with representatives of the federal government. Now, also VOP News gathered that the leaders of organized labor included Joe Ajaero of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Festus Osifo of the Trade Union Congress, and other leaders of labor unions. The meeting is a continuation of the 4-hour sit-down held on Sunday by both parties to avert the planned nationwide indefinite strike by labor to protest the economic hardship in the country. In another development, former Minister for Petroleum Resources Diezani Alison Madueke today appeared in court in London to face bribery charges. The ex-minister spoke only to give her name, date of birth and address at Westminster Magistrate Court, while her lawyer, Mark Bowen, told the court she would be pleading not guilty. Alison Madueke, 63 years of age, was a key figure in the administration of former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, serving as Petroleum Minister from 2010 to 2015. She is being accused of receiving bribes in the form of cash, luxury goods, flights on private jets, and the use of high-end properties in Britain in return for awarding oil contracts. The NCA said Alison Madueke was accused of benefiting, which include other financial rewards with at least £100,000 in cash, chauffeur-driven cars, flights on private jets, luxury holidays for her family, and the use of multiple London properties. Charges against her also detail financial rewards including furniture, renovation work, and staff for the properties, payment of private school fees, and gifts from high-end designer shops such as Cartier jewelry and Louis Vuitton goods. District Judge Michael Snow granted Diezani Alison bail. The former minister is to produce a surety who would pay £70,000. She's also to wear an electronic tag at all times. The judge also imposed an 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. Diezani's next court appearance will be at Southwark Crown Court, which deals with serious criminal cases, on October 30. Now, in a recent development emerging as of recent in reaction to Atiku Abubakar's legal team, the legal team of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed their disagreement with the recent decision from the United States District Court in Northern District of Illinois regarding the disclosure of his academic records. The court, which issued the ruling in favor of Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, instructed the Chicago State University to, within 48 hours, release the academic records to presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. In this development, however, more instances have emerged with the APC, that is the legal team of the president, responding in like form. Now, you would also recall that Magistrate Jeffrey Gilbert, overseeing the case, mandated Tinubu's alma mater to furnish all relevant and non-privileged documents to the affected to the petitioner, that is Atiku Abubakar's legal team, within a 2-day time frame. These documents included Tinubu's admission and enrollment records at Chicago State University, details of his attendance, as well as information regarding the degrees, accolades, and honors he received from the institution, all of which were requested by Atiku's attorney, Angela Liu. Now, as the deadline set by the magistrate approached, Tinubu's legal representatives submitted a petition to the U.S. High Court, contending that the initial ruling by the magistrate needed to undergo a review by a district court. In response to the court's decision, Tinubu, through an application filed by his New York-based attorney, Oluwole Afolabi, outlined the grounds for his opposition to the verdict. First, it was asserted that his academic records were not pertinent in Nigerian courts, contrary to Atiku's claims, as the Nigerian election proceedings and the Nigerian courts have consistently rejected such disclosures. Secondly, Tinubu's legal team argued that Atiku's request was excessively invasive, as it effectively allowed Atiku to engage in an unwarranted intrusion into the intervener's private, confidential, and safeguarded educational records. To talk a little bit about this particular recent development concerning the response of the president's legal team reacting to the mandate given by Judge Nancy Maldonado for Tinubu's academic records to be released to Atiku Abubakar and his legal team, I have via the telephone a legal practitioner, a political commentator, and also a social commentator, Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid, good evening and welcome to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM.
Good evening, happy independent.
Thank you. Happy Independence Day. That's true. We're still in the Independence Day celebration mood, supposedly. All right. So, as of yesterday, or rather earlier today, there was a ruling, or rather, there was a particular individual that was mentioned in this whole debacle concerning President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That is Elnora Daniels. She claimed that she doesn't know President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and she never in any time or in any period signed any certificate whatsoever with anybody's name concerning regarding President Tinubu. She also said that she's going to be suing immediately the court gives Atiku Abubakar the academic records that he requested for. Now, apparently, there is also a response from the legal team of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu expressing their disagreement with the recent decision from the United States District Court in the Northern District of Illinois regarding his certificates or his academic record. Now, the question I want to ask you is, when Judge Jeffrey Gilbert gave the first initial ruling that the academic records be released to the legal team of Atiku Abubakar or be released to Atiku Abubakar, he filed a fresh charge or another fresh appeal to another court. And this judge was Judge Nancy Maldonado. Now, Judge Nancy Maldonado eventually put a stay for that record to not be released at the time, when the president gave a plea that there will be irreparable harm to his person, and that this is basically why he doesn't want his records to be released. Well, Judge Nancy Maldonado has asked the president not to file anything anymore in her court, and has instructed that the records, his academic records, be released to Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The question is, how are you disagreeing with the decision from that court?
You see, in our legal system,
all right,
you are the articles of a court. You have the right to agree or disagree with the judgment of courts. So, the fact that you file a case does not mean you cannot agree with the decision of the outcome of the court. So, if you are not satisfied with the outcome of the court, you can't disagree with it and take further steps if you have the opportunity to do that. So, and that is probably that's what they are saying in terms of that. But probably also they are talking about, you see, the disagreeing with the judgment of the court is not something that is not that is new or that is not allowed.
Okay.
When you have gotten to the highest level, that's when you don't have the right again. You have the right to appeal when you have that. When that exists. Sometimes for you to appeal or to disagree with the decision and appeal against such decision, there must be conditions to be fulfilled. Okay. If you are within those conditions, you can do it. If you don't have it, you may not be able to do it. So, but in this instance, the court has said that, look, if you bring a further application for us to stay this proceeding or to enlarge the time, we will not do that. So, which means the president and their team cannot even go back to that team. They already know the results from that team. So if they want to go to another court, it will be a court higher than that. And there must be a condition to be solved. So if they can't fulfill that condition, they can't move forward.
All right. Okay. But the question is, you were the one who wrote to Judge Nancy Maldonado, and she has given her judgment based on what you tendered and based on what the opposition tendered as well, that is Atiku Abubakar. And she has done her own judgment based on her discretion. And she came to the conclusion that there is your case does not hold water. You cannot say they should not have access to your academic records, considering the fact that you are a public figure. You are basically the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You also tendered that document to the Independent National Electoral Commission. So why exactly don't you want your records to be accessible? Don't you want to prove that indeed you are as objective and transparent as you say you are? And she asked that that particular case should no longer be filed in her court anymore. She doesn't want to see any more appeal being filed by the president's team. So the legal team, encountering the decision of the judge, they are actually saying that the Nigerian election proceeding and the Nigerian courts have consistently rejected the disclosures of his academic records. Again, they are insisting that even if Atiku Abubakar is able to get this document, he cannot tender it In other words, it's of no use to him concerning what he wrote that he needed it to file as an appeal at the Supreme Court. So there is no point in releasing the academic record. Do you think this claim made by this legal team of the president actually holds water? Is it verifiable?
For me, it cannot hold water because it doesn't concern them. Whether article will succeed or not, whether the Supreme Court will accept it or not, it's not their problem. It's article's problem. They should allow article to do what they want it to do. If it brings it and the Supreme Court refuses to accept it, or refuses to accept it, it's not their own wala. So it's for article to achieve its objective. In other words, its objective is to obtain the document. And once the document is obtained, whatever he wants to do with the document in court, whether the court will agree with him or say, look, you can bring this document in, you cannot bring this document in, it is for article it is for the court and article.
Okay.
So it's their choice. It doesn't concern them.
But they're also insisting that Article's legal team is being excessively invasive, as it effectively allowed Article to engage in an unwarranted intrusion into, his private, confidential, and safeguarded educational record. So is Article's quest to having that academic record accessed by him, is it being overly or excessively being intrusive?
I don't think so. It's not. For me, I don't even see why this should be an issue. I don't see why a president who came to be the best student or one of the best students in that school at the time should be hiding his academic record. Particularly, it's not only even hiding his certificate.
Okay.
What is hiding was don't release my gender. Don't release my age. Well, how is that an issue? How is that an issue? If you're not, that it shows for me clearly. If to anybody who wants to be sincere, that is an evidence that something is hidden.
Okay.
That the president is hiding something. Because if you're not hiding something, you can't be telling your school that, look, I don't know how gender is private. We all know your gender. What to do when in the document you fill, we want to know whether or not that's exactly what is in that document. So why is that a secret? I don't know. I don't know why the president is so honestly trying to make this an issue. For me, the president is not showing enough transparency. He's not showing that he doesn't have anything to cover, and he doesn't. It's something that's simple. If you ask me now, I will challenge academic record now as we're speaking. Before in 30 minutes time, I will forward everything to you and to publish everywhere. Okay. So I don't president to make it a difficulty. I don't even know. I don't even see the reason why they should go to court before he can release it. It's not a public. Forget it. The president is no longer a private individual.
All right.
We need to know nothing. We need to know his case. We need to know his academic record. We need to know everything. Whether that thing was even presented before INEC or not. It's not an issue. We need to know our president. We need to know whether he's a man or a woman. Whether his claim, academic claim, are genuine or not genuine. Whether we want to know whether truly that is his age. It's our right to know. It's our president, no longer a private citizen. Okay. So he can't claim that they are intruding into his privacy. We need to know more. And whether, like I said, Aaron, whether or not that to be helpful to Article at the Supreme Court, it's not their concern. Article before the court, and let court do whatever they want to do with it. So Article will be satisfied that he has done his best, and it's only that his best may not be good enough or may be good enough. Okay. So it's not for the present team to say that it will not even be useful. Whether it will be useful or not, it's my choice. Let me choose it, and it's not their own. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't see why this should be an issue. But the president is making an issue, and it shows to me that something is hidden. The president is trying to hide something that we don't know. That probably, although it's in public domain, that even the document that people is asking for, I think they said they have the document with them, but if they don't go to the
yes. Hello. Okay. All right. Barrister Tunji, can you hear me? Hello, Barrister Tunji, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? All right, we seem to be having a situation with Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid at the moment. We cannot hear him. We've lost connection with him. But in regards to the conversation we're having in this evening is the reaction or the response of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's legal team to the CSU certificate saga. There have been continuous evolving circumstances, or rather updates concerning his academic record, it's either he is reacting or he is filing a fresh charge. Well, this time around, he is trying to stay on the claim and disagreement on the fact that Judge Nancy Maldonado asked that his academic records be released to the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, stating that it will be of no use to him at the Supreme Court. Now, Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid, I do hope I've gotten you back. Have you reconnected? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back with you. I'm back.
All right, thank you. So
I was even hearing you before that.
Okay, I couldn't hear you anymore. Now, a CSU's lawyer, that is the school themselves, they were represented by lawyer Michael Hayes. Now, he told Judge Jeffrey Gilbert. Judge Jeffrey Gilbert was the first judge who gave the initial pronouncement that Tinubu's academic records be released to Atiku Abubakar, because he made it a matter of concern by publicly giving that document to INEC. So if you know you did not want that document to be properly examined or looked into, you shouldn't have publicly given it to the Independent National Electoral Commission. And so he mandated that the records, his academic records, be given to Atiku Abubakar. But there is also something, a bone of contention, that I actually need your, objective analysis on. Now, the lawyer of the school told the judge at the time, when the case was, first of all being listened to at the court, that the university wouldn't be able to certify Tinubu's diploma under oath. Meanwhile, a spokeswoman for CSU at the time said the university can confirm that the president graduated. However, it cannot authenticate the diploma because it is a ceremonial document that is not part of a student's official academic file. Now, if you recall at the time, there was a particular Elnora Daniels, who was supposedly the secretary, and she was hugely involved in authenticating that document. That is, she did the signing on the document to authenticate that he actually attended the institution. But Elnora Daniel is saying that she doesn't know anybody of that name at all. So my question to you is, if Elnora Daniel sues after the records are given to Atiku Abubakar, what then do you think will be the next line of action?
Yeah, the document is released to Atiku Abubakar, Excellency. Like it's stated in the judgment, Atiku intend to use it at the Supreme Court to buttress his case. In other words, to support his claim that the president is not qualified to contest election, that he fortified, that he forged his academic record. Okay. So in order to buttress it, those are the documents they want to use. So, and that's why they are looking for it. So if they are able to get the document, they want to put it before the Supreme Court and see whether or not the Supreme Court will accept the document. It's at the discretion of the Supreme Court or justice of the Supreme Court. But it's not something that is new. It's not something that has not been done before. It's not something that cannot be done. If they can put, yes, it's not something that cannot be done. And it's not something that is not possible. It is possible. It has been done before. So it's not something that people don't let people deceive and say you cannot bring any document at the Supreme Court. It's been done before. When you have a document that's not available at the time when you are doing your case, and the document is admissible by the court that you are able to explain the circumstances under which it is, and the court is satisfied with it, they can accept it.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, and
again, let me say, apart from even using the court,
okay,
if it comes out to be what Atiku Abubakar is saying, it comes out to be true, that he actually falsified his document, that would be a dent on the character and image of our president.
But will it make any difference? So if it turns out to be true, beyond the fact that it will be a dent on his image, will it make any difference though concerning, being declared as a winner by INEC and being declared as the authentic winner by the Presidential Election Petition Court? Will that make any difference?
Listen. The fact that it was declared by, the court in US did not decide whether or not that document is forgery.
Okay.
There was no case in court against Atiku to say, look, it's a forged document, and the court will not say he has forged document.
Okay.
What Atiku Abubakar is looking for that document is release document to me.
Okay.
So there's no case in court. The case in court is not about whether the document was forged or was not forged.
Okay.
The case in court in US is to ask the court, look, I need this document, and this document are considered private. Without the order of the court, will not release to me. Give me an order, I'll give an order to the school to release the document to me. That's what Atiku Abubakar is not. So the people who are talking about will bring the judgment to, it's not the judgment itself he wants to use. The judgment will be used to obtain the documents. So they want to obtain the document from the school. And once the document is obtained, they can come to the center and use it. So whether or not the document will be accepted at the Supreme Court is another case.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And at the Supreme Court.
All right. So in this case, do you think that the school themselves can be indicted because they've been given inconsistent deliveries or reaction concerning that certificate? Today, they tell us that he indeed attended the institution. Tomorrow, they tell us that this certificate is actually from their school, but that they cannot release it due to some privacy and law, whatever processes that has to do with them. Next tomorrow, you hear that they cannot authenticate the document. Next tomorrow, you also hear again that the school's individual, whoever it is that signed, cannot authenticate the validity of that particular document. Later, you see an affidavit confirming that he indeed attended the institution. So do you think that the school themselves should be held responsible for this inconsistency, the inconsistency concerning the academic record?
It shows that the court is not, the school is if it comes out to be true,
okay,
the claim of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, it shows that the school is not to be believed. That means the integrity is online. Their what's it called? Their image is being dented. That's what it means.
Right.
So people will see them as a school is not trustful. Because you see the issue here is this. If I'm talking about the name alone, if they don't have, I believe the school should have the picture to confirm whether or not it's either this president or another person. Because what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is saying is that, look, it's not as if there is no Bola Tinubu in that school. There is Bola A. Tinubu in that school. And what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is talking about is that it is not this president. There is a woman that was admitted, not this man, not our president. And that is why the issue of don't disclose my agenda is important to probably president, and that's why it's also important to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. I want to know whether or not it's actually. So in other words, if you look at the record at the CSU, you will see Bola A. Tinubu there. Whether or not is this particular president is a point Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is trying to establish. That look, yes, there's a Bola A. Tinubu, but it's not you. It's another person. It's a woman.
Thank you so much, Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. I do appreciate your input. We've actually run out of time. Thank you so much for your input on the World News at 6.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure to meet.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
To wrap up the World News at 6 here again are the top stories. PDP petitions Chief Judge over tribunal judgment. Tribunal sacks Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa declares PDP winner. ISWAP guns down Boko Haram commander in Sambisa. Labour leaders arrive presidential villa for another meeting with Tinubu's government. And Diazani Alice Madueke appears in UK court over bribery charges. That is a wrap on the World News at 6 right here in Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Nwachukwu. Good evening and thank you for staying with us. Up next is the Evening Rush with Precious.